stuff and kind of pounded it into us. And I think it helped me personally quite a bit. And then going up and down, I mean, I think around Christmas time, my first year, I got my first call up.
2014-15.
Yeah, and then I scored my second game, I think.
Yep.
I was flying high. Evgeny Nabokov in the slot, high glove. I actually think he retired like a week later because he's like, this bum scored on me.
So you retired him, huh?
He's like, too many call ups for scoring on me. I got to get out of here. So yeah, he ended up retiring like a week later, and then I think like 2 or 3 games later, we were in Tampa Bay. I think guys were hurt. I finally got a chance to play with Crosby and Kunitz, and the whole Notre Dame team's there too. They were there for one of those like tournaments or something. It was the perfect storm. I'm like, this is great. Yeah. This is awesome. And then I go out there, like third shift. I pizza one right inside our own blue line. They pick it off, go score. I ended up being -4 that night. It was the worst game. I ended up playing like 12 to 14 games, and I got sent back down. But it was definitely a learning experience, and that happened a couple more times. And then I eventually stuck. And then it's just one of those things that every time I got a taste, I tried to learn something new, learn something better, and then try and build on it.
So to kind of circle back there, your first year pro was 2014-15. You got called up 14 games, you had 2 points. The next year, 41 games, you had 11 points. And then that 2016-17 season was kind of, the year, depending on injuries and everything, that you stuck. You played 57 games, had 28 points. Those, first 2 years, obviously there's a lot of learning. It's a lot different from college or junior hockey, turning pro. There's a learning curve. And, was there a specific summer that, you can think about, or a moment where you're like, if this is what I want to do, I got to focus, be determined, and, really start to put in the work and, make that sacrifice?
Yeah, I think when I first really knew that was, like I said, after my sophomore year was kind of when I really wanted to know if I could play pro hockey. But then there was kind of that moment where I really wanted to be in the NHL. I had to kind of take that next step, and I think it was probably right after my first call-up. I went back down, and there's so many little things that go involved with being able to make it, whether it's some nutrition, daily habits, working hard, things like that. And you got to kind of put it all together, and you got to do it consistently. You can't just be half the time or most of the time. It's got to be the vast majority, if not all the time.
Right. So as a young player, you walk into that locker room and you got, like you said, Crosby, Malkin, Kunitz, you got Letang, Fleury, the list goes on. Are you almost overwhelmed? Are you, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm meant to do? What were you kind of thinking? I mean, I remember growing up watching games of these guys playing, and you and I are like, oh man, what a move, or what a player. And now, you're on a line with them, or you're practicing with them. How did you personally handle that, and wrapping your mind around, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, it was definitely pretty starstruck there when you first get in the locker room. First get on the ice with them and practice and such. You're just kind of watching them and seeing what they do. But at the end of the day, you're there too, and the coaching staff and management and all that have the faith in you that you can contribute at that level. And I got to give those older guys and those stars like Sid, well, especially Sid, a lot of credit. He makes young guys call ups feel welcome the second they get there. He's always the first guy to go in there, shake your hand, say hi, say how's it going, like what's going on. So I think that really can calm the nerves of a call up or something like that. And obviously you want to think that this is where you belong, but I think being able to have that sense of comfort from the coaching staff and stars in the locker room kind of coming up and being nice to you and showing that you are welcome and kind of making you feel like you belong, I think that was huge.
The guy that you are, and when you would practice, and you're in the locker room, and especially when you were younger, are you trying to? I mean, are you watching those guys every day? Their habits, how they handle themselves. You always hear, act like a pro, or were you trying to take as much information and lessons from those guys to bring to your own game, not necessarily from a playing standpoint, but everything off ice, taking care of your body, doing the right things, things of those nature?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I first got there, even in my first ever training camp, I was trying to just absorb everything, trying to learn and see what these guys do to make them successful. And even at, like, the end of practice, there'd be a few of the older guys doing stuff down on one end of the ice, and be kind of creative stuff, some like weird off net tips or catching passes and shooting in awkward positions, and you kind of think why they're doing that. And then there's no set situation in games. You got to kind of get used to being in awkward positions or making plays that probably shouldn't be there, but you can make them because you've been working on it, and you've been working on your hand-eye, or you've been working on your edge work to be able to kind of make those plays. And I think that's something Sid especially is really good at. He practices unconventional stuff.
I'm sure it, relates to the entire team when, you see a guy like, Crosby, who's, as you said, has done everything that he has, being one of the, if not the best player in the world. With his work ethic, does it stem down through the entire team? Hey, I want to get off the ice early today, or, maybe I'm not feeling that workout, or whatever it may be. And you look over and, you got the best player in the world doing all the extra stuff. And talk about how that resonates through, through the entire locker room.
Yeah, that can I'd say that stuff is can definitely be very contagious. There's obviously gonna be days you aren't really feeling your best, you aren't feeling great, but if you see a guy like that who you don't think really has to work that hard to get any better because he's already at the top,
right?
Always trying to get that upper hand, get that upper leg. Doesn't really matter how he's feeling, and see a guy like that do it, who's the captain, who's the star, who's kind of the face of hockey or the face of the organization do it. There's no really excuse why anyone else shouldn't be doing it too.
Absolutely. Through your career, you've had a couple injuries. Talk about, just the rehab process, but more so just the mental side of it. Things are tough, things are going well, and you're playing really well. You're on a top line, and you get a bad bounce, and now you're injured. Now you got to start the whole process over. Talk about the mindset and almost the mind games that it has to go into it. It's not just the physical stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of injuries. I definitely haven't played a full season yet of pro. So based on injuries and stuff, it's happened to me quite a bit. It's just something that it's gonna happen.
Right.
I think you just gotta kind of look at that as these things are inevitable. It's hockey's a tough game. There's
For sure.
Puck flying around the ice. There's guys flying. It's a hard hitting game. It's a fast game. You're gonna get hurt, and I think the less you are scared to get hurt, or if you feel like you get hurt and you get down on yourself, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me. It does happen to everybody,
right.
And I think at one point or another, everyone's gonna have to deal with it. And your ability to stay patient in that moment, I think, helps, because there's a lot of times, a lot of injuries where you can't do much for a first month of the rehab, and you're kind of itching to get back, and you're not really doing much. You're like, I can't believe this. I'm getting worse, or this is happening. So I think your ability to stay patient is huge, because if you're not, you might drive yourself crazy.
Let's talk about the two cup runs. We had 15, 16, 16, 17. I think I know the answer, and it's, does one of them stand out more to you? I mean, I can't imagine that it really does. You're at the top of the world winning the Stanley Cup, but is there, one or the other that maybe, a moment that you personally had individually that, you really remember? Talk about that.
I think the first one probably stands out more.
Yeah.
Just being, I think there was like 5 or 6 of us young guys who were called up sometime during that year, and we're just out there working, just grinding, just working our hardest. That's it. Literally, we're not thinking about anything else.
In and just chasing.
Yeah, it's literally it. We're literally playing for our lives. We're like, if we don't do this, if we don't dive in front of the shot to block it, if we don't go get this puck, if we don't win this battle, we're getting sent down.
Right.
And that's I think the mentality all of us had. And I think it helped because I think our energy might have been contagious through the team, and we all bought in. And I think for us as a group, as us little 5 or 6 call-ups, we were all staying in the same hotel. It was basically a dorm room, and we did everything together. And getting that first one with that group, especially that little group, I think was awesome because we were also all first-year pros together in Wilkes, and we all kind of went through the entire journey all together, and it was kind of all cultivated at the end of that first run.
During those times, you're so in the moment, but do you get any opportunity, to, your third round, or, you're in the finals and you're thinking to yourself, whether, you're on the ice or sitting on the bench, or maybe it's just like a morning skate and you're thinking, wow, I'm really here right now. This is what every kid grows up playing, working for, is to get to the Stanley Cup. And, now you're living it. Did you ever have any of those moments?
There were definitely some of those moments. I don't think I can't really pinpoint some exactly, but I definitely do. I remember kind of thinking that way, especially I think at the media day before the Cup finals began. Just a million media people. Everyone's got their own podium, doing TV stuff, other stuff, radio stuff, and you're just like, this is crazy. This is huge. I can't you don't really think that you're there. You're like, I'm living my dream right now, and it's pretty insane.
While that was going on, when you're playing, when you're on the ice, are you thinking, God, I can't make a mistake. I can't have a turnover here. Or are you just playing so free that, this is where we are, and, you got nothing to lose?
I think it was that same kind of mindset I was talking about earlier, that we were making every play we could.
Yeah.
Especially a guy like me, being a really young guy, still trying to make my mark. I had to do everything I could, and just to stay in the lineup, just to be on the team and be a contributing member. And I think that helped me personally. I carried the same mindset that I had during the regular season into the playoffs, because it was the same exact mindset. I got to give 110% or I'm not going to be here.
Right. I mean, do you still, you're definitely a proven NHL player. Do you still have that feeling that, every day, your job can be taken and you got to prove yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what helps guys stay in the league or make long careers, that it's a constant competition, whether it be a guy who's called up or a different guy in your team who's trying to go up the lineup or something. There's always constant competition, and if you know that's there, and if you're not scared of it and you embrace it, I think that just kind of helps you become better.
Right. So you have a couple cup parties, great time. Your second cup party, didn't it show up late? It was supposed to be, or was it the first one?
The second one. That was an interesting day. There was some bad weather. It was coming from Thunder Bay. I believe Matt Murray had it, and the guy had some bad trouble, some really bad travel plans. Whole bunch of thunderstorms, so planes couldn't get into Thunder Bay the night before, so they couldn't get planes out. And then there's a whole bunch of canceled stuff and all this other stuff. And Cup didn't end up showing up till 9:30 at night.
Right.
Something like that. Got a few pictures in. By that point, everybody was feeling pretty good about themselves.
Having a good time, to say the least.
Yeah. Everyone was definitely having a good time. So it definitely stunk in the fact that you couldn't celebrate it. I had the fact that it was my second one made it a little bit
Right.
of an easier pill to swallow. And it was still, the whole day was still a celebration. We still had all these things planned, and to be able to still do it with everything it was awesome. It was actually kind of nice. I didn't have to take pictures all day.
Right.
So I was kind of able to hang out with people a little bit more.
How many people did you end up having there total? Do you remember?
It was.
You keep it pretty small, or did you blow it out?
Well, we blew it up.
Yeah.
A couple hundred people probably.
Yeah.
Maybe not that. Like 150.
Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but the guy who carries the cup around.
There's multiple guys.
One that's, I mean, he's in every picture, the white glove.